Well, I'm happy to drink out of the well. At important occasions in my life, I like to go top shelf. If I'm a business owner going into a highly regulated industry, I think that's an important time in your life to also considering going top shelf. Welcome to Norris McLaughlin's Top Shelf Legal, a limited podcast series where we break down the hard stuff on beers, distilleries, breweries, and spirits. I'm your host, Ted Zeller, practice group leader of the liquor law group at Norris McLaughlin. In this episode of Top Shelf Legal, I'm going to talk to you about the different options that folks have if they want to sell alcohol in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. There's several different licenses. Pennsylvania is a different state, you can kind of say, in many different ways. Pennsylvania is what's known as a commodity state. There's only a couple of those throughout the United States. We just so happen to be neighbors with one of them, and New Jersey. Also, California is considered a commodity state. And what I mean by that is if you want to open up a restaurant, you want to open up a six-pack shop, you have to actually go find a license and purchase it from somebody else. Now, there's ways that you can qualify for something that I call an original issue license, meaning a license originally issued by the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board that all you have to do is apply, and if you meet the requirements, you get that license. But I'm going to start out at the ground level, and a separate podcast, I'm going to talk about the crazy pricing across Pennsylvania that's going on right now and what's driving it. But for now, we're going to focus on types of licenses that are out there. Okay? The most common form of license is the restaurant liquor license. All right? The restaurant liquor license serves restaurants that have kitchens or at least are the ability to offer food. They have to have a health permit and at least 30 seats. There's minimum square footage, but that's really never come into the factor of any of the restaurants that I've had the license, given the fact that you have to have 30 seats. Those 30 seats have to be inside. They cannot be outside. People struggle in the state to understand the classes of license that I'm about to discuss with you because our restaurant liquor license is a perfect example of that struggle. So the restaurant liquor license will license your Joe's Corner Bar. It will license Maria's Fine Italian Restaurant, okay? But it will actually license the grocery stores like the ShopRites of the world. If you've ever gone to a grocery store or even a convenience store like Wawa or Top Star, you'll see that they also sell beer. And they'll sometimes have these contrived metal posts sticking up out of the ground because they're trying to separate licensed premises from unlicensed premises, because when you have a restaurant liquor license, you're only allowed to sell certain items on that restaurant liquor license premises. You cannot sell bulk grocery. So that's why when you go into that grocery store, you'll see a whole separate area where they'll sell food, they'll have seats, and there you might find some snacks. You might find some single-serve sodas or grab-and-go food, but you can also still find your wine and beer, which can be taken out. And what the amount that you can take out is the same whether you are that Joe's Corner Bar or Maria's Fine Italian Restaurant. It's 192 ounces of beer. And if you have your wine expanded permit, is what it's called, you can sell up to 4 bottles of wine to go. So the restaurant liquor license is wide-ranging and serves a lot of different types of businesses. There's also kind of a related license. It's called an E-license. It's an eating establishment license. They're coming less and less frequent because of recent change in the law. The E-license is just simply beer only. And I'm not talking about the beer distributor where you can go in and buy cases and kegs. I'll talk about that in a moment. It's called the E-license, all right? And that's just an eating establishment license, beer only. But a recent change in the law is you can pay the state $30,000 and convert that to a restaurant liquor license with the ability to sell again, wine and beer and spirits for on-premise consumption, and also the wine and beer to go in the quantities that I had mentioned before. Similar to these types of licenses, at least what you can offer is the hotel liquor license. There's kind of 2 types of hotel liquor licenses. Old ones, which are kind of grandfathered in, and new ones where you have to meet the current requirements under the liquor code to obtain a hotel liquor license. The hotel liquor license is one of those original issue licenses that I kind of spoke about before briefly. Meaning, if you meet the requirements in your application, you get your license free from the state. Those requirements really come down to the same things with restaurants. You have to have a kitchen, you have to have your health permit, you have to have at least tables and chairs for 30. But the big one is you have to have rooms. And the amount of rooms that you have to have is tied to the population from the last census in the municipality where you're trying to set up shop. Okay? So I am sitting here in Allentown, Pennsylvania, third largest city in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So we're full boat hotel. We have to have at least 50 rooms. A third of them have to have their own full baths. Another third have to have at least half baths, and the other third can be a common bath. All right, and then it kind of has a sliding scale down to a 12-room hotel, and that's in municipalities with population of less than 3,000. Okay? Way back when, hotels slid down all the way to the room requirements of about 6 rooms. And those were kind of like the old inns, but they still qualify for the hotel licenses. Those old H licenses, the grandfathered ones, can't move. They have to stay at the site. However, a couple of things have been changing that actually allow them to move. They're allowed to file hotel room exemptions if they meet certain requirements. And they're also allowed to now convert to a restaurant liquor license if they meet certain requirements. The requirements are the same. It's whether or not your license is just flat out issued before 1949 or it's actually issued before January 1st, 1965. The January 1st, 1965 date's the more important one. The 1949 one's kind of odd. It allows the license to lapse, and as long as it's reissued, it's a little complicated. So when the hotel licenses were issued, they were just issued in sequence. And here's a part of the rub. Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board, when it converted to going electronic, they lost a lot of these records. So it's really difficult to find out if you have one of these old H licenses, whether or not it's convertible to waiving the hotel room requirement, meaning you don't have to have the rooms anymore. You can add service, or you can make it permanent apartments, because part of the hotel room requirement is you have to have at least 50% of your rooms available for transient guests. So you couldn't just create a 50 room condominium complex to get a hotel license free for the restaurant. That's the anchor there. So there are a little bit of twists and turns in qualifying. The best I can see, when you get to about H4500 as being the license number, anything below that is probably issued before that January 1st date, 1965. Anything after is not going to qualify. There's also what is called the distributor license. And I get a lot of confusing conversations with folks. It's like, I just want to sell beer and wine and I don't want to maintain the 30 seats. Like, okay, well, you can do that. It's called a distributor license. But they also want to be a convenience store and sell eggs and milk. Well, you can't do that with a distributor license. You can't be connected to unlicensed premises and sell bulk food. So that's why the grocery stores haven't gotten into the distributing license game. But the distributor license allows you to sell unlimited quantities of beer, but no wine and no spirits. It's really an odd mix of license rules in Pennsylvania. But that distributor license does allow you to sell unlimited quantities of beer. There's a lot of discussion in the legislature, and I'm always a part of those discussions as to whether or not they're able to add wine and spirits, because now RTDs, the ready-to-drink cocktails, actually a lot of times have a ABV that's less than your hazy IPA. So still they're not permitted. If you want to buy that RTD, you have to go to the state store. State stores are the sole sellers of spirits to go in the state. But you can't get a state store license because that's the state. There's other miscellaneous types of licenses. There's club licenses for private clubs, the many different veterans clubs or Elks clubs. You will see that issued to like a private golf club. There's private golf clubs. There's public-private golf clubs. There's public golf clubs, and they're all considered R licenses for those golf clubs. They're not transferable, they're not really saleable in the open market, but they have all the qualities of an R license. There's also licenses that you can get for things called performing arts facilities and public venues. I've written portions of those laws as far as what you can do to enable things, because those are original issue license, meaning if you meet the requirements, you get the license for free. However, if it's a private enterprise, you're going to have a couple of thousand seats at least in order to qualify for those licenses. If you're nonprofit, especially with the performing arts facility, the seating goes way down. And I've done a lot of performing art facility licenses for nonprofits. So that's one of the other things that you can look at. If you have a large venue, you might qualify for one of those types of licenses. Again, Pennsylvania liquor licensing and what you're able to obtain license-wise in order to meet the business model that you have in your mind for selling food and alcohol as a complement is very complicated in Pennsylvania.
Like many things in the liquor law business, alcohol beverage law is fluid, moves around a lot. Since I recorded this podcast, we had a change in Pennsylvania with regard to what you can sell at some of these licenses I just talked about. It only affects the restaurant liquor license, which you heard me talk about, and also the hotel liquor license and the distributor license. Pennsylvania has now allowed ready-to-drink cocktails to be sold by those restaurant and hotel liquor license holders in quantities limited to 192 ounces. Those ready-to-drink cocktails have to be in their original containers. You cannot pour them to go out of a keg or on draft or something like that. They have to be less than 12.5%, but it allows those restaurant and hotel liquor license holders to get something that's almost identical to that wine expanded permit I talked about, which allows you to sell 4 bottles of wine to go. Now the ready-to-drink, the RTDC, ready-to-drink cocktail permit, is an extra add-on to your restaurant and hotel liquor license, and allows you to sell basically 2 6-packs to go of RT ready-to-drink cocktails. This law has now also applied to distributors. Your beer distributor, where you can buy cases and kegs, and I just talked about, can now offer unlimited amounts of ready-to-drink cocktails, and they can buy this extra permit from the state. Interestingly enough, they haven't allowed distributors to get into the wine business yet. That remains squarely within the province of our Pennsylvania state stores. Only all the wine, except unless you're a Pennsylvania manufacturer or winery, all those sales have to go through our Pennsylvania state store. So it's a quick little update, always new twists in Pennsylvania. I'm always working on laws and to strive for more consumer convenience, and incrementally, bit by bit, we're starting to get there in Pennsylvania, but there's a long way to go.
This has been a Norris McLaughlin Top Shelf Legal limited podcast series where we run through the topics of beers, distilleries, breweries, and spirits. I want to thank you, the listener, for being a part of the conversation. Be sure to tune in next time for a brand new episode. If you would like to learn more about our work, be sure to check out my legal liquor blog or email me at topshelflegal@norris-law.com. That's topshelflegal@norris-law.com.